What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 60. We have Cory Sanhagen going against Yadong.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another full card breakdown and prediction video. This week, breaking down a very good card. I think this card is extremely underrated. We have 14 fights, 14 bangers. There's not one fight on the card where I'm not looking forward to. So I like every single fight on the card. If you are a fan of violence, this is your card. This is a very violent card, so definitely looking forward to it. Looking forward to breaking it down as well. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video. As always, it does help a ton. Do appreciate all the likes, all the comments as well. It does go a very long way. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel so I don't miss out on content throughout the week. This week, I'm going to be trying to get out some content a little bit earlier. I will be away for the weekend, so I'm planning on doing a slight schedule change. Instead of best bet on Saturday, I'm planning on doing that like Thursday night, and then I'm planning on doing my Friday live stream that's typically at 7. I'm planning on doing that sometime after the weigh-in, so make sure you are subscribed so you not miss those. Do want to shout out Sports Capper B, did the significant strike contest last week for the Ferguson-Diaz fight, and Sports Capper guessed 181 combined significant strikes, and the correct answer was 181 combined significant strikes. He got it right on the dot. Was able to hit him up, get him his winnings there. So shout out to Sports Capper. Phenomenal guest there. You got it right on the dot, buddy. Yeah, other than that, I say we just get right into it. Looking forward to this card from a fan perspective, from a betting perspective. I've been tracking my bets for, I think, almost like 3.5, 4 years at this point. This might be the most action I've ever had on a card. It's getting up there. It's a Tuesday, and I'm already pretty deep invested into this card. Lots of spots that are sticking out. Lots of violent spots that are sticking out. I cannot wait for this card. It's going to be phenomenal. But I say we get into it, and we'll start with the first fight of the night. We have Nicholas Motta going against Cameron Van Camp. We have Motta, who is 29 years old, 5'9", with a 70-inch reach, 12-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Cameron Van Camp is 29 years old, 6'2", with a 74-inch reach, 15-6-1. and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here, and we see that Motta is a favorite here. He opened up minus 235, currently minus 192. Van Camp opened up plus 200. He's currently plus 167. So Cameron Van Camp is cutting down to 155 pounds for the first time in a while, I believe, because his last fight against Andre Fiallo, that was at 170. The fight before that, that was at 170. It's been a while, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Okay, yeah, so like 8, 9 fights ago was the last time he fought at 155, and if he is able to, make the weight and have a good weight cut, he's going to be huge. He's going to be a huge lightweight, 6'2" at lightweight. So I think weigh-ins are going to be important for this one because Cameron Van Camp has not made 155 since like 2018, back against Thomas Gifford. But this is a very, very interesting fight to kick off the card. I think it's a very violent fight. We have 2 guys that are very dangerous, and 2 guys that can absolutely be finished. Nicholas Motta, this guy has dynamite in his hands. I've seen him hurt guys bad. I've seen him put guys to sleep, and it takes him a while to wake up. This guy hits very, very hard. Cameron Van Camp made his debut against Andre Fiallo, and he showed some power as well. He wobbled Fiallo. It looked like he was about to get Fiallo out of there, and then just got a little reckless and eventually got caught by Andre Fiallo, which I think we can forgive him for that a little bit. But what we can't forgive Cameron Van Camp for is the striking defense. In that debut against Fiallo, he had a 29% striking defense, and it's not only just in that fight against Fiallo, it's his other fights as well. He's coming forward, he's walking forward with his hands down, his chin's high up in the air, and that's how Andre Fiallo caught him. I mean, you do not want to come in there with a horrible striking defense against Nicholas Motta. So, although I do think the line's wide because Cameron Van Camp is going to be more active, Cameron Van Camp is going to be more likely to grapple, more likely to get this fight down to the mat. He's probably going to be landing more significant strikes, but with that 29% striking defense, with that his hands down low, chin up in the air, It takes one shot from Mata, and you do not want to mess around on the feet with Mata. Mata hits very hard. He did get knocked out by Jim Miller in his debut there, but he did hurt Jim Miller a little bit in the first round. He got a Dana White's Contender Series win by decision. He hurt his opponent very bad as well multiple times, was not able to get him out of here, but I think he does knock out Cameron Van Camp, who's been knocked out quite a bit. Cameron Van Camp has 6 losses, and 3 of those come inside the distance, and 2 of those do come by knockout. So I think Mata does catch him. But on the flip side, Mata's been finished a ton. Mata's been finished 4 times, 3 by knockout. So I question the chin of Mata as well. I think somebody's getting finished here, but give me Mata. He's the more powerful striker, and I hate the striking defense of Cameron Van Camp. I'm going to go Nicholas Mata to win by first round knockout. All right, next we have Tony Gravely going against Javid Basharat. We have Basharat, who is 27 years old, 5'9", with a 69-inch reach, 12-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Tony Gravely, 30 years old, 5'5", with a 69-inch reach, 23-7, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and we see that Javid Basharat opened up -110. He is currently -150. Tony Gravely opened up -110. He's currently +130. And this is a very tough fight to call for me because I think Tony Gravely is definitely getting disrespected a little bit. Tony Gravely's fought the much better competition by a mile. And you take a look at, some of the names Tony Gravely has fought in his career, not just inside the UFC, but outside the UFC. This guy has fought, the who's who. He's fought guys like, Nate Maness, who's doing really well in the UFC. He's fought guys like Brett Johns. He's fought guys outside the UFC like Patchy Mix. He's fought guys like Manny Bermudez, Merab Dvalishvili. I believe he fought Pat Sabatini like way back in the day as well. So he's fought a bunch of really good competition, not only inside but outside the UFC. Gregory Rodriguez, he finished him outside the UFC. He beat Ray Rodriguez on the Contender Series, Geraldo de Freitas, Anthony Burchak, Simon Oliveira, Johnny Munoz. Tony Gravely has a very impressive resume. As far as Javid Basharat, I don't know. I'm still a little skeptical, I guess. I went back and watched the tape on him, and to be honest, I was extremely impressed. And it's kind of hard to tell where he's at because he has not fought the best competition, but he's going in there and he's looking very good. He's super well-rounded. His striking's very good. I do think he's going to have the striking advantage here in terms of winning minutes. He has very, very good power and a very good submission game and good wrestling. Just an overall very good fighter in Javid Basharat. But, this is a matchup where I watched every single fight I could of Javid Basharat, and what I looked for was his takedown defense, and that makes sense, right? Because what is Tony Gravely going to do? He's probably going to shoot takedowns in this fight. Tony Gravely averages over 6 takedowns per 15 minutes, completing those at a 55% takedown accuracy. Javid Basharat has not fought anybody anywhere near the caliber wrestler of a Tony Gravely. Tony Gravely is a phenomenal wrestler, and he's a guy that has, his strikings came a long way as well. He throws with a ton of power. I guess the knock on Tony Gravely has always been, submission defense. He's been submitted 5 times, and when you kind of take a look at who he's getting submitted by very good fighters. I believe he got submitted by Pat Sabatini, got submitted by Patchy Mix, got submitted by Brett Johns, guys like that, very good grapplers. But, the tricky thing here is I think Javid's a very good grappler as well. I think Javid's a very good striker as well. This is such a tough fight to call. I have a lot of question marks about Javid Basharat's takedown defense. I've not seen any of it yet thus far, but we're going to, for a fact, see it in this fight. The cardio of Tony Gravely scares me. The chin of Tony Gravely kind of scares me. He's been knocked out a couple times at this point. The submission defense of Tony Gravely kind of scares me. Whereas Javid Basharat, I just don't really know enough about him yet. So in terms of making a pick, I think I'm going to side with, I guess I'll go with Javid Basharat here to get the job done, just because I think he's dangerous everywhere. I think on the mat he can give Tony Gravely problems. I think as the fight goes on, Gravely is going to slow down, and maybe Basharat can get him out of there late. And I think on the feet, Basharat's the better striker. So although I think this is a huge test for Basharat and a pretty big step up, I do think he's dangerous enough and well-rounded enough to win this fight and win it inside the distance. Tony Gravely's been finished a ton. He's been finished, I want to say all of his losses. I think all 7 or maybe 6 of. He's been finished 6 times. Once by knockout, 5 by sub. Basharat, a 92% finish rate, 42% by knockout, 50% by sub. So Basharat can knock out Gravely. Basharat can submit him as well. So I'm going to go with the more dangerous Javid Basharat, but from a betting perspective, we'll talk more betting throughout the week. I would not be touching the Javid money line just due to the question marks I have on him. But yeah, give me a Basharat to win. I'll say he eventually does catch Gravely in a submission. I think Javid's a very good grappler. So Basharat, I'll say Basharat by second round sub. All right, next we have Maria Agapova going against Jillian Robertson. We will start with Jillian Robertson here. So Jillian Robertson, she is 27 years old, 5'5" with a 63-inch reach, 10-7 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Maria Agapova, 25 years old, 5'6" with a 68-inch reach, 10-3 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Jillian Robertson opened up plus 110, currently minus 145, and then Maria Agapova opened up minus 130, currently plus 125. And I think this fight is pretty simple, and the line doesn't really indicate that, but I think it's a very good matchup for one Jillian Robertson. She, where she shines is the takedowns, the grappling. She's a BJJ black belt, averaging 2.36 takedowns per 15 minutes, a 40% accuracy. She went out there and submitted Priscilla Ketchacheating a couple fights ago. She went out there and took down Poliana Battaglia 3 times, grinded her out. She took down Courtney Casey 3 times, grinded her out, got a late submission. She finished Sarah Frodo on the mat. She finished Veronica Macedo. She finished Molly McCann, Emily Whitmire. She's very, very dangerous on the mat. And I mean, where have we seen Maria Agapova struggle? We've seen her struggle with the cardio. We saw her gas out against Shanna Dobson as a minus 1,000 favorite. Shanna Dobson got on top of Agapova in that second round, and Agapova had nothing left, and Shanna Dobson finished her, which was a horrible look. Another horrible look, getting taken down multiple times by Marina Moroz, and then getting eventually submitted in the second round. Marina Moroz broke Maria Agapova in that second round. We saw Tracy Cortez go out there and control Agapova throughout the course of the fight on the Contender Series as well. So what does Maria Agapova struggle with? She struggles with the takedown defense, currently sitting at 42%. And I think she struggles a little bit when, she's the nail. I don't think she's a good nail. And you could say the same thing about Jillian Robertson, which makes this fight, pretty exciting, because on the feet, it's going to be Agapova all day. This is about as clear striker versus grappler as you're going to get. If Robertson, if for some reason, is not able to get the takedowns, Agapova is going to knock her out. Agapova is going to hurt her very bad and probably break Jillian Robertson there. But, the path to victory is just so clear for Jillian Robertson. She's going to get this fight down to the mat, and when she does, she's nasty. She's very nasty. She's a black belt in BJJ. Like I said, I believe Agapova is a white belt, and Agapova just does not look good on the mat, especially as the fight goes on. So Robertson, she's going to have a significant advantage in the grappling. She's going to have the cardio advantage, and I think she does get this fight down to the mat and finish Agapova, I will say, the second round. So give me Jillian Robertson to win. Jillian Robertson to win by second round submission. But this fight's phenomenal. This fight is a very, very fun fight because Agapova definitely has opportunities here to find the knockout on the feet, but I think it's going to be Robertson that does implement her game plan and finish the fight in the second round. All right, another fight that I'm really looking forward to. We have Trey Ogden going against Daniel Zell Huber. We have Zell Huber, who is 23 years old, 6'1" with a 77-inch reach, 12-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Trey Ogden, 32 years old, 5'11", 71.5-inch reach, 15-5 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Let's take a look at the odds here, and we see that Zell Huber is the second biggest favorite, I think, on the card. Open up minus 225. He's currently minus 270. Trey Ogden open up plus 190. He is currently plus 230. Zell Huber, I think this guy's the real deal. He's only 23 years old. And you go and watch this guy. He doesn't look like a 23-year-old. He's in there, and he looks good. And even fights from like a couple of years ago when he's like 19, 20 years old, he looks good in there. He's super well-rounded. In this fight, he's going to be the bigger guy. He's going to have a 2-inch height advantage. He's going to have like a 5.5, 6.5 reach advantage as well. Undefeated, phenomenal striker. He's going to have the striking advantage here. And then a really good grappler as well. Solid wrestling, great takedown defense. Very big, very long, very hard to take down, very hard to hold down, very scrambly. Black belt in BJJ. This guy, I think, is the real deal. But, he's making his debut here, and that's something we always have to, kind of worry about. But I think he's, I've heard people say that Zell Huber's taken a step up in competition here, and I actually disagree. I think he's taken a slight step down in competition because he went out there on the Contender Series and he beat Lucas Almeida. He beat Lucas Almeida by decision. Very fun fight there. Almeida had some success early. Zell Huber was able to take down the stretch, but that's a very impressive win to me. We saw what Lucas Almeida went in there and did against Michael Trezano. Almeida looked like an absolute killer against Trezano. So I think he's taken a slight step down here against Trey Ogden, who, my goodness, he has to be the only guy in history and to ever lose the striking exchanges to Jordan Levitt. And I unfortunately did have a bet on Trey Ogden. My thinking was he's the better striker. He should go out there and outstrike Jordan Levitt. Man, was I wrong. And I did think he won the fight live, and maybe I was biased because I had a bet, because going back and watching the fight, I don't think he won that fight against Jordan Levitt. Just Jordan Levitt was outworking him. Jordan Levitt outlanded Trey Ogden 69-41. Let me repeat that. Jordan Levitt, the Monkey King, outlanded Trey Ogden 69-1. If you're getting outstruck by Jordan Levitt, there's a problem. And it's weird because you take a look at Ogden, like outside that Levitt fight, he's a good striker. He's a solid striker, but man, Jordan Levitt just gave him problems. I don't know if it was maybe the reach. Jordan Levitt had no, it wasn't the reach, because Ogden had the reach advantage. No excuses, Trey Ogden. No excuses for that. My goodness. And then he's going to be at a big reach disadvantage in this fight. So I think this is just a tough matchup for one Trey Ogden here. He's a grappler. He's a black belt. Both guys are black belts in this matchup. Ogden's going to look to get this fight down to the mat. But another thing that really scares me big time for Trey Ogden is the fact that he wasn't able to take down Jordan Levitt. Trey Ogden was 1 for 4 against Jordan Levitt. The same guy in Jordan Levitt who literally flops to his back, who wants to be on the mat. Jordan Levitt was stuffing takedowns against this guy. The same Jordan Levitt with a 30% takedown defense was stuffing takedowns from Trey Ogden. So, I don't know. Zell Huber is going to be the better striker by a mile. Is Ogden going to be able to take down and hold down a much bigger Zell Huber? I don't think. Is he going to be able to submit a black belt in Zell Huber? I just think, the paths to victory are limited, and outside of Zell Huber making his debut, I mean, that's the only thing that kind of scares me here, but I think it's a really good matchup for Zell Huber. I think he's the real deal, and he should have a field day here against Trey Ogden. Ogden showing a 34% striking defense against Jordan Levitt, just unexcusable. So give me Daniel Zell Huber. I'll say he wins by decision. Ogden is very tough. Ogden has been finished quite a few times, but it is by submission, so maybe Zell Huber can get him down and sub him, but I kind of see Zell Huber just picking him apart on the feet for 3 rounds and winning a 30-27 decision. So give me Zell Huber to win. Give me Zell Huber to win by decision. All right, next we have Loma. Luke Boomy going against Denise Gomez. We have Luke Boomy, 26 years old, 5'1", with a 62-inch reach, 6-3, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Denise Gomez, 22 years old, 5'2", with a 63-inch reach, 6-1, and 5-1 in her last 5 fights. Let us take a look at the odds here. We have Loma Luke Boomy, who is the favorite, open up minus 275, currently minus 235. We have Denise Gomez, who opened up plus 235 and currently plus 200. So, this is a fighter that I remember in Gomez. I remember getting into her footage for Contender Series. I think she fought just a couple weeks ago, actually. And she fought Hyana Amanda, who's not that great. I think she's like 13-7 at this point. And I just wasn't really impressed with either fighter. But I did think she went in there on the Contender Series. She looked good. And, there's some good takeaways from watching her fight. I think she's very tough. She's very gritty. I think she's very chinny, and that's going to be something to look at in the future. She's been dropped and wobbled and hurt a ton. But her recoverability is really good. It's hard to get her out of there. And she has that dog in her, so you do like that. She's going to throw a lot of volume as well. The problem with this fight is a couple things. Luke Boomy is going to be the better striker here by a mile technically. Her striking is very good, and she's only 26, and she's getting much better. Every time we see Loma in there, she looks, better and better compared to before. And we have not seen Loma in a while now. It's been, 9 months since we've seen Loma. Her last loss was against Lupita Godinez, where she was taken down. She's not going to have to worry about that here against Gomez. I think, if anything, it's probably Loma getting some takedowns as well. We've seen Loma implement some wrestling in her last couple fights. So this is a fight that I do think primarily stays on the feet, with Loma potentially going for takedowns here or there. If Loma does try to take down Gomez, I think she will be able to do so pretty easily there. But yeah, Loma's the better technical striker by a mile, but it is Gomez who does have that dog in her. She's going to be there the entire fight. She kind of starts slow. She does get better as the fight goes on, and she's going to throw a ton of volume. So I actually think this fight's going to be pretty close. I would not be laying the money line on Luke Boomy, but I do think she's the better fighter as of now. Gomez still very, very young, 22 years old, still very green as well. I think it's this is a massive step up in competition from some of the competition she has been facing. And even on the Contender Series, I don't think that Amanda fighter that she fought was that great, to be honest. So this is going to be like a massive step up. I think Loma does win this fight and probably win it by decision. I could even see Loma maybe dropping Gomez as well, because Gomez, like, she gets hurt a lot. Very, very chinny. But I think Loma ultimately wins a decision here. So give me Loma, Luke Boomy to win. Luke Boomy to win this one by decision. All right, next we have a very interesting fight. Aspen Ladd going against Sara McMann. We have Aspen Ladd, 27 years old. She is 5'6" with a 66-inch reach, 9-3, and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Sara McMann, 41 years old, 5'6" with a 66-inch reach, 13-6, and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. So Ladd, I guess the biggest thing here, and I guess we'll talk about the odds first. Ladd is the favorite. She opened up as a plus 155 favorite. She's currently minus 143. Sara McMann opened up minus 180. She's currently plus 123. So money is pouring in on Aspen Ladd, and that might be because of the age. I mean, the age it just sticks out like a sore thumb. Ladd is going to be 14 years younger, and actually, McMann is turning 42 in what, a couple days? Yeah, she's turning 42 very soon. I think this weekend. So, or a little bit after. But yeah, she's almost 42 regardless. So that's a concern. That's a big concern. Another concern is the cardio of Sara McMann. But as far as how this fight is going to play out, I do think McMann is going to have success early on. And that's the case with McMann a lot of times. She's having a lot of success early on. And how she loses fights is she eventually gets caught in something, a submission. She gets tired. She gasses out. We saw that against Juliana Pena, was able to get her out of there late. I think that was in the 3rd round. We saw, I think it was Marion Renault was able to catch her in the 2nd round. We saw Ketlin Vieira, who was able to catch her in the 2nd round. So she's getting caught late in fights, but she is having success early outside of like the Ronda Rousey fight, which was in 2014, or the Amanda Nunes fight there. So, but yeah, she's typically having success early, and I do think that's going to be the case here. Her wrestling's phenomenal. I mean, some of the best, if not the best wrestling in the division. She lands 4.38 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 65% takedown accuracy. Those are video game numbers. She does have a 50% takedown defense herself, but I think she's only been shot on like 4 times, and I think her opponents are like 2 for 4 combined in her entire career. So nobody's really shooting on Sara McMann. In terms of the striking, it's ugly. It is very ugly. I do not know who has the advantage. Aspen Ladd, her striking just leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, I have nightmares from that Dumont fight, just the worst fight I've ever seen in my life, where Aspen Ladd was just looked horrible in there, and it's a shame because she took a 2-year layoff. She had an injury, and she came back, and she just looked like the worst she's ever had in that Dumont fight. So I don't know who's going to have the striking advantage, honestly, because both are not the best strikers. I do think this fight is going to play out on the mat, especially early on. Sara McMann should have no problem taking down Aspen Ladd early. I think Sara McMann is going to win the 1st round and the 2nd round. The thing that scares me, a couple things. The cardio of Sara McMann. If Aspen Ladd is able to put up some resistance, if she's able to make Sara McMann work, when that 3rd round comes around, how is Sara McMann going to look in that 3rd round? Another thing is the age. She's almost 42 years old. That is terrifying as well. But in terms of prediction, I'm going to say McMann does get this done. I'm going to say she does win the first 2 rounds with her wrestling and hopefully survive that 3rd. Because if Aspen Ladd gets on top of Sara McMann, it could get ugly. Aspen Ladd, her ground and pound is her best weapon. She gets on top of her opponents. She does those weird, screaming tennis sounds, and the refs are so terrified of those sounds that they're forced to step in. Although a lot of the shots really aren't even landing. So if she can get on top of McMann in the 3rd round, she can very well win the fight. But I'll say McMann gets it done. This is a sketchy fight. I mean, it's hard to be confident in a 42-year-old McMann, and it's hard to be confident in Aspen Ladd, who's looked like complete dog crap her last couple fights. But I'll take the underdog in McMann here. I'll take her to win by decision, 29-28, winning those first 2 rounds. All right, next we have Trevin Giles going against Luis Cosce. We have Trevin Giles, who is 30 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach, 14-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Luis Cosce, 27 years old, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach, 7-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. We have Officer Trevin Giles, who opened at minus 200. He is currently minus 212. And Luis Cosce opened up plus 170. He is currently plus 182. All right. So Officer Trevin Giles is one of those guys where he's a tough guy to pick. He's a tough guy to bet on. He's one of those guys where if you do have a bet on this guy, you will be screaming at your TV throughout the fight because he makes a lot of poor choices. I say pound for pound has the worst IQ I've ever seen in my life. From, going out there and doing nothing to going out there and initiating grappling against Gerald Meerschaert and getting subbed in the third round. From going out there and winning a fight up until getting clipped in the third round and finished. Trevin Giles has all the skills in the world. He's big. He's 6 foot. He's extremely athletic. He's extremely powerful. He has a phenomenal jab. He has good wrestling, and he has very good grappling. I think he's a black belt in BJJ as well. Trevin Giles is just all around a very, very talented fighter. It's just when he gets in there, I mean, sometimes he just doesn't throw anything. He's super low volume. His cardio is not great. His decision-making is not great. So Trevin Giles is a very tricky fighter to pick and bet on. But I will say this. Trevin Giles, he was a police officer. That's why we call him, Officer Giles. Apparently, he did quit his job to focus on fighting. So I think that is a big, really good sign there. Because, like I said, I think this guy has all the talent in the world. I mean, but he's doing this part-time. So I think if, he's going to focus all of his time and effort into the UFC, I think he can definitely have success because I think all the tools are there. It's just, he needs to be able to put it together. So I think him leaving his job as a police officer is a good thing as long as he wins this fight. Because if he doesn't win this fight, he probably gets cut because he's lost 2 in a row. He got knocked out by Dricus du Plessis in the second round. He got knocked out by Michael Morales in the first round. And Luis Cosce is going to have opportunities to finish Trevin Giles in the first round as well. Luis Cosce is the brother of Orion Cosce, and I'll say they're a bit different. Cosce is kind of more of a, get in and get out type of guy. He wants to, you watch this guy's fights, and as soon as the fight starts, he's running forward, looking for a finish. I've seen him get a finish in like 10 seconds before. I mean, this guy is very dangerous. He has a ton of power, very good wrestler as well. But, as we saw it in his last fight, he was able to hurt Sasha Plotnikov very badly, almost get him out of there like a couple times. And it just shows you how dangerous Cosce is. But Sasha Plotnikov was able to survive. And, once the couple minutes went by, Cosce had nothing left. It was like a couple minutes left in the first round. Cosce had nothing left. And Plotnikov had some big moments late in the first round as well. I will say Cosce was able to survive like that second and early third against Sasha Plotnikov, but he ended up getting finished by Sasha Plotnikov, who is no longer in the UFC. So it's not a good look, but I guess he had success early, and that fight could have been stopped. But it's kind of the same thing here. I mean, Cosce's going to go out there. He's going to try to take off Giles' head. Could he do it? It's on the table because Giles has been finished a ton. Giles has like 4 losses, all 4 of them inside the distance, 2 by knockout, 2 by submission. Cosce, very dangerous finisher, a 100% finish rate. All those come in the very first round. All those come in like in the very first couple minutes of the first round. So Cosce's going to have his opportunities. But if Giles is able to survive 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, he should win this fight. He's going to be the better fighter. He's going to be the better striker. He's going to have a reach advantage, a height advantage. He's very physically strong. He's going to be the better grappler. I feel like Trevin Giles can knock Cosce out as the fight goes on. I feel like Trevin Giles can submit Cosce as the fight goes on. We saw Cosce shooting some very sloppy takedown attempts against Sasha Plotnikov. If that happens in this fight, Giles probably subs him here. So I'm going to say Trevin Giles by sub. I'll say late first round submission for Trevin Giles. I think this fight is going to be an absolute car crash for as long as it lasts. Cosce's going to go in there and fight like a maniac, and he may get Trevin Giles out of there, but if not, he probably gasses out again, and Trevin Giles probably finishes him late first. So it should be a fun fight for as long as it lasts, but I will take Trevin Giles to win by late first round submission. Okay, next we have Damon Jackson going against Pat Sabatini. We have Pat Sabatini, who is 31 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach, 17-3 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Damon Jackson, 34 years old, 5'11" with a 73-inch reach, 21-4 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We take a look at the odds here. Pat Sabatini opened up minus 225. currently minus 185. Damon Jackson opened up plus 190. He is currently plus 160, and this is a tough fight to call. This is a super tough fight to call, and for the people that are picking against Pat Sabatini, and I don't, it's tough to do so because you take a look at Renzo Gracie Fili, right? And I believe they're like 15-0 or 16-0 combined. You have Pat Sabatini, you have Sean Brady, you have guys like Andre Petroski. These guys have just come into the UFC and they've been killing it. They have absolutely been killing it. I mean, none of these guys have lost. So picking against Pat Sabatini at this point is a very hard thing to do. But Damon Jackson's no joke, and stylistically, this fight's pretty weird because both these guys are very similar. Both guys, I believe, are black belts in BJJ. Both guys have a wrestling background. Both guys aren't the best strikers. Like, these guys are like virtually identical. It's just, Pat Sabatini has the hype. Pat Sabatini's younger. Pat Sabatini's training with just a group of guys that have came in here and just had so much success. This is a tough fight to call. Like, on the feet, I think you have to favor Damon Jackson. I did like how Jackson looked against Camilla Kirk in the fight in terms of the striking. Pat Sabatini probably has the power, and maybe he can hurt Jackson here. We saw Pat Sabatini go out there, and he dropped Kristen Connolly in his fight, so he does have a ton of power. And then we saw him go out there in his very last fight and win a decision. But in that fight, he also went out there and he hurt TJ Laramie pretty bad. I think it was like a kick to the body or something, and almost finished TJ Laramie. So in terms of the being dangerous on the feet, it's Pat Sabatini. But in terms of the minute winning, I do expect it to be Damon Jackson. In terms of the wrestling, both guys are very good wrestlers. Pat Sabatini landing 3.84 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 44% accuracy. Damon Jackson landing 2.47 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 38% takedown accuracy. So both guys are very good wrestlers, and defensively, both guys don't have the best takedown defense. Damon Jackson, a 40% takedown defense. We saw Charles Rosa take him down twice, not a good look. We saw Mirsad Bektic take him down 7 times. Bektic, of course, is a good wrestler, but just not the best look in the world there. And then Pat Sabatini, a 50% takedown defense, slightly better. We saw TJ Laramie take him down once. We saw Tucker Lutz take him down once. And we saw Tristan Connolly take him down once in the 3rd round, I believe. So this is a very, very, very tough fight to call. I think both these guys are extremely similar. I think this fight really can go either way. In terms of making a pick on this fight, I think I am going to side with Pat Sabatini because I do think, he's the younger guy. I think he's the better grappler here, and I think he has more power on the feet. And I also think he's the tougher guy. Damon Jackson, when he's losing, he's getting finished. 4 losses for Damon Jackson, all 4 of those coming inside the distance, 3 by knockout. So, although Pat Sabatini isn't a knockout guy, he's a submission guy. Would it shock me if Pat Sabatini can hurt Damon Jackson on the feet? Not really. I mean, Pat Sabatini's shown some very good power. Like I said, he hurt his last opponent, Laramie, and then he hurt Tristan Connolly, and then even saw him get a knockout outside the UFC as well. So I think on the feet, Damon Jackson probably the better striker as a whole. But Pat Sabatini is going to bring that power. And then in terms of the grappling, I do think Sabatini is going to have slightly more success. I guess one thing that scares me is kind of the cardio of Sabatini, because sometimes it looks very good, sometimes it looks a little bit questionable. In the Connolly fight, he did slow down a little bit, but that was his debut. Whereas Jackson, he doesn't really slow down a ton. Although he did look a little weird in his last fight against Argueta. I had a bet on Damon Jackson, a pretty big bet, and I was like freaking out because the guy was getting like pieced up bad against Argueta. So I think Jackson kind of slowed down in that 3rd round as well. This is a tough fight to call, but I'm going to take Pat Sabatini, the younger guy. I think this guy has a huge ceiling. I've been a big fan of this guy so far in the UFC, but Damon Jackson, he's the definition of a dog. He's a dog in this fight. He's a dog in the cage, and he's going to definitely go out there, and he's not going to make it easy. I think this is Pat Sabatini's toughest test to date. And Pat Sabatini's fought some solid guys. So I'm going to take Pat Sabatini to win. I'm going to say he catches Damon Jackson. I'm going to say he hurts him on the feet and submits him here. I'm going to say he finishes Damon Jackson for the 5th time. Jackson's been finished a ton. I say Pat Sabatini gets him out of there. So give me Sabatini to win, and to win inside the distance. All right, next we have Anthony Fluffy Hernandez going against Marc-Andre Barriault. We have Hernandez, who is 28 years old, 6 foot with a 75-inch reach, 9-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Marc-Andre Barriault, he's 32 years old, 6'1", with a 73-inch reach, 14-5, and 3-1, and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. Anthony Hernandez is a favorite here. Opened up as -150, currently -174. Marc-Andre Barriault, +130, opened up, currently +149. And this is a fight where originally I thought I would be very confident in Hernandez here. I thought, stylistically it's a very good matchup for him. And then I went to watch the tape on Marc-Andre Barriault, and it's a fight where I think that Hernandez has a clear path to victory here, and that path to victory is going to be the wrestling, and I think he's going to win the fight that way. It's just I don't think he's going to have as much success as I originally thought, and we'll kind of talk about why. But Hernandez, he's landing 5.39 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 70% accuracy. I mean, you don't ever see that. I mean, this guy is just relentless with his takedown attempts. We saw that in his last fight against Josh Fremd, where he attempted 11 takedowns, he got 8 of them. And this is another guy that is a dog. He kind of uses his cardio as a weapon. He's going to, be in your face the entire time. He's going to, take you down, rinse and repeat. And we saw that a lot in the Fremd fight. And I think if he comes in there with that same game plan against Fremd, he's gonna win this fight. And that's kind of why I do like the Hernandez side here. Because Marc-Andre Barriault, you take a look at him. He's a guy that throws a ton of volume on the feet. He has solid power, but what does he struggle with at times? It's the takedown defense. He got taken down twice by Dolce Longiambola. He got taken down 5 times by Jung Young Park, taken down by Jocko, taken down by Sanchez twice. This is scary. He got taken down twice by Jordan Wright. So the takedown defense isn't good, but I will give him a little bit of a chance here because I think his get-up game is really good. Although Dolce was able to take him down twice, Marc-Andre Barriault was only controlled for 31 seconds. He popped back up. Although Jung Young Park took him down 5 times, for the most part, Marc-Andre Barriault was able to pop back up. So if, Fluffy does take him down 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and Marc-Andre Barriault is popping back up on the feet, I do favor Marc-Andre Barriault. So I think this is actually a little bit closer than I originally anticipated, but I do like the path to victory for Fluffy here, and that is just mixing in takedowns, getting a lot of takedowns, and on the feet it should be competitive. Like I said, I do slightly favor Barriault, but Fluffy can definitely hold his own in the striking. So I think it's going to play out close, but I do lean with the wrestling of Hernandez. I like the cardio, the pace, the pressure of Hernandez, and I think he kind of wrestles his way to a victory here. So give me Fluffy Hernandez to win. Give me Fluffy Hernandez to win by decision. All right, next we have Tanner Boser going against Rodrigo Nascimento. We have Boser, who is 31 years old, 6'2" with a 75.5-inch reach, 28-1 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Rodrigo Nascimento is 29 years old, 6'2" with an 80-inch reach, 8-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Boser opened up -220, currently -168. Nascimento opened up +185 and currently +148. So yeah, we don't see a ton of fighters in the heavyweight division like a Rodrigo Nascimento, right? I mean, this guy, I believe, is a black belt in BJJ. Very good grappler, very slick on the mat for a heavyweight. And this is another striker versus grappler matchup. Tanner Boser is going to have the clear striking advantage, clear as day. And I do like the striking of Tanner Boser quite a bit. He's a heavyweight fighter who typically weighs in a little bit lower than the weight limit. I think he weighs around like 230 to 240. I think he weighed at 240. He weighed in at 240 his last fight, but kind of a lighter heavyweight. Whereas Nascimento, he's weighing in around 260, 265, right? So Nascimento is going to be the bigger guy in this matchup, but Boser will be the faster guy on the feet. He's going to have a higher volume. He's going to have the better cardio. I guess the question is Tanner Boser going to be able to stuff the takedowns of Nascimento? If he does, Boser probably knocks him out, honestly. But, Nascimento, it's tricky because I don't like the look of his last fight. And by the way, he knocked out Alen Baudot in his last fight. That got turned into a no contest. I believe Nascimento did pop for something. But in that fight, Alen Baudot looked like a killer in that first round. I mean, Alen Baudot looked career best. He was destroying Nascimento. Alen Baudot was destroying Nascimento in the first round. Alen Baudot was hurting him, almost finishing him. Alen Baudot outlanded Nascimento 50-18. Alen Baudot. I mean, if Alen Baudot is doing that to you, what is Tanner Boser going to do to you? But if Nascimento is able to get this fight down to the mat, he's going to finish Tanner Boser. He has good ground and pound. Like I said, a very, very slick submission game. And Tanner Boser, there's not a ton of footage of him getting taken down because he went out there and he fought Philippe Lands. He knocked him out early. He finished Rafael Pessoa. He finished Ovince Preux. Ovince Preux did take him down, and then he knocked him out shortly after. Outside of that, Arlovsky didn't try to take him down, Spitz didn't try to take him down, and Gane didn't try to take him down. So he's only really been grappled in his last 2 fights. Ovince Preux did have a takedown there, and then Ilir Latifi did take him down twice. We saw when Latifi did take him down, Boser didn't have an answer. Boser did not get up, and that's kind of why I did take Latifi in that matchup, because I did see a fight outside the UFC where Boser was taken down, and he didn't have a get-up game. He didn't have anything off his back. So really, it could really just take one takedown here for the fight to be over, because if Nascimento gets on top of Boser, I don't know if he's getting up. I think the fight will be finished probably shortly after. So this line doesn't make sense to me. I think it's, pretty 50-50 to me. Either Nascimento gets the takedown and submits Tanner Boser or TKOs him, or he's not able to get the takedown and Tanner Boser knocks him out on the feet. I think it's as simple as that, striker versus grappler. And I'm going to lean with the grappler here. I'm going to lean with the younger guy, Nascimento. He's 29 years old. He's training at American Top Team. We've not seen him in a while. It's been like, what, a year? Yeah, a year and 1 month since we've seen Nascimento. So, and that was probably because of he did pop for something. But still, I'm hoping he's made some improvements here. If he's able to get this fight down to the mat, I think he finishes Boser. I'll say Nascimento wins by first-round submission against Tanner Boser, but this fight's going to be a banger. Speaking of banger, we have Alen Amedovski going against Joseph Pyfer. We have Pyfer, who is 26 years old, 6'2", with a 75-inch reach, 9-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Alen Amedovski, he is 34 years old, 5'10", with a 74-inch reach, 8-3, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and Joseph Pyfer is the biggest favorite on the card, open at minus 300. He's currently minus 450. Amedovski open up plus 250. He's currently plus 350. So, yeah, the biggest favorite on the card, and I think there's a very good reason for that. So, not only do you have the hype for Joseph Pyfer, I believe he's training with the Gracie Fili guys. I think he's training with Sabatini and Brady and those guys, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, just another reason to like Joseph Pyfer here. But yeah, he went out there on the Contender Series, looked very good, and he went out there and got a second-round finish in a fight where I believe he closed as like the slight dog. I think he was the favorite all week in that fight, and then closed as the slight dog against Ozzy Diaz. And against Ozzy Diaz, he looked really good. He took him down. He controlled him in the first round a bit. The second round comes around, he pressured forward and knocked out Ozzy Diaz, and it just goes to show that Pyfer's good everywhere. He has good wrestling, good grappling, a ton of power in his hands. I love the pressure. He's looking for a finish, and I think he's going to look for a finish here as well, which this is a fight against Amedovski, which it's a dangerous fight because Amedovski is a dangerous guy. Amedovski, a 100% finish rate, the majority of those coming in the first round. Amedovski doesn't do a lot of things well. He actually only does one thing well, and that one thing is hit hard. Amedovski's looked horrible in the UFC. Went out there in his debut against Krzysztof Jotko, and that was a while ago at this point. That was a long time ago. That was 3 years and 4 months ago where he went in there against Jotko, and he looked bad. He got taken down 4 times by Jotko and controlled. It had to be like 11 minutes. It was like 9. Yeah, 9. He got controlled for 9 minutes and 36 seconds of that fight. I'm not sure how Jotko didn't finish the fight. Jotko was able to get into multiple dominant positions, was able to get into the crucifixes at one point, and going back and watching it, I feels like Jotko bet on himself to win by decision like he always does, because I don't know how he did not finish Amedovski. Amedovski literally landed 6 strikes in 15 minutes against Jotko. And then he goes in there against John Phillips, and he does the one thing you shouldn't do against John Phillips, which is stand and bang, and that fight ended in 17 seconds. It was hilarious. John Phillips knocked out Alen Amedovski in 17 seconds. Just what a game plan by Amedovski there. And then he goes on his last fight against Joseph Holmes. He eats a knee and then gets submitted shortly after, taps fairly quick there. And I don't know. I mean, outside of Amedovski landing a big shot in the first 60 seconds, I mean, I just don't see how he wins this fight. Pyfer should have him covered everywhere. If Pyfer wants to pressure forward and knock him out, he can do so. If Pyfer wants to take him down and submit him, he can absolutely do so. I don't think Amedovski's ground game is good. Amedovski literally has a 0% takedown defense. 0%. He has stuffed 0 out of 5 takedown attempts. Pyfer can take this guy down easy, and once Pyfer gets on top, he's dangerous. So yeah, this fight is a good fight. I think it's a fight that they're trying to build up Joseph Pyfer a little bit with a highlight reel finish, and I think that's going to be the case here. I think Pyfer can do whatever he wants. Does he want to go out there and pressure forward and knock out Amedovski? That's on the table. Or does he want to take the easier path to victory, which is going to be taking down Amedovski and then submitting him? So I would say he does take the easiest path here. He's going to take down Amedovski. He's going to beat him up very bad, and then he's going to force Amedovski to turn over, and he's going to grab the neck. He's going to submit him in that first round. It's going to be Joseph Pyfer to win. Joseph Pyfer to win by first round submission. All right, 3 fights to go. We have Andre Fili going against Bill Algeo. We have Andre Fili, who is 32 years old, 5'11", with a 72-inch reach, 21-9 and 1, 3-1 no contest in his last 5 fights. Bill Algeo, 33 years old, 6 foot, with a 73.5-inch reach. He is 16-6, and he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So very good fight here, very competitive fight. And the line does indicate that. We have Fili, who opened up as a plus 140 dog. He's currently minus 114. Algeo opened up as a minus 160 favorite. He's currently minus 106. So kind of a line flip here. We now have Algeo as a slight dog. This is a close matchup. I think that Fili is a very good fighter. He's obviously fought the better competition as a whole. He's fought some very good guys. I mean, taking a look through the career of Andre Fili, and he has fought some names. He lost to Sadiq Youssef. He lost to Michael Johnson. He beat Dennis Bermudez. He beat Gabriel Benitez. He lost to Max Holloway back in 2014. He lost to Yair Rodriguez. He lost to Calvin Kattar. So he's fought very, very good competition as a whole. Lost to Bryce Mitchell as well, and of course in his last fight he did get knocked out by Joe Anderson Brito. I feel like a path to victory here for Andre Fili would be getting this fight down to the mat. What does Bill Algeo struggle with? He struggles with the takedown defense. Bill Algeo has some of the worst takedown defense I've ever seen in my life. But with that said, he has one of the best get-up games I've ever seen in my life. You can take down Bill Algeo, but good luck trying to hold him down. So although I think Fili can mix in takedowns here, he's not going to hold down Bill Algeo. It's just not going to happen. And Fili's not great at holding guys down in general, so just another reason I don't think that's going to be on the table here. I think he might try to get takedowns, but I don't think he's going to have a ton of success with that. I do think this fight is primarily going to stay standing, and when it does, I think the better striker is Andre Fili, but it's going to be Bill Algeo who's just going to be landing more. I mean, Bill Algeo's output is phenomenal. He went out there and landed 59 significant strikes against Joe Anderson Brito compared to his 40. He outlanded Ricardo Ramos in a fight where he got taken down 8 times. He outlanded Spike Carlisle 70-23. He landed 140 significant strikes against someone on the Contender Series as well. Forget who he fought, but he went out there and landed a ton of significant strikes on the Contender Series, and I kind of see that being the case here. I think it's going to be the power of Fili, but Fili's only landing 3.82 significant strikes per minute with a 36% accuracy. It's going to be, kind of the power of Fili against the volume of Algeo, and I think Algeo can really overwhelm Fili with that volume. But this is such a close fight. I think Fili can absolutely mix in takedowns. I don't think he's going to hold down Bill Algeo, and I just think it's going to be Algeo that's going to be throwing more here, landing more. And Algeo is a guy that can go 15 minutes, no problem. His cardio's on point. He's going to have the cardio advantage here. I'm going to take Bill Algeo to win by decision, but it's going to be super close. It's lined super close for a good reason. But I'll take Algeo to win a very, very close decision. So I'll take the dog in Algeo. All right, co-main events. So the co-main event was supposed to be Giga Chikadze going against Sadiq Youssef, but that fight is no longer on the card. But yeah, what a co-main event this is, though. We have Chidi Njokuani going against Gregory Rodriguez. We have Rodriguez, who is 30 years old, 6'3", with a 76-inch reach, 12-4 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Chidi Njokuani, 33 years old, 6'3", with an 80-inch reach, 22-7 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We will take a look at the odds here, and we see a line flip, kinda. We have Njokuani open at minus 145. He went to plus 105, and he's now back to minus 120. Money's been coming in on Njokuani as of late. Rodriguez opened up plus 125. He went all the way to minus 125, and he's now back to plus 100. So this is a tough matchup to call. This kind of reminds me of a fight last week, Ian Kudalaba, Johnny Walker, where I'm like, okay, somebody's getting finished here. I feel like literally nobody should be favored. Somebody's getting finished and probably finished in the first round, and that's exactly what happened. And I think the same thing's going to happen here. Somebody is going to get finished, and somebody's going to get finished probably in the very first round. I mean, both of these guys are so dangerous, and I just want to talk about Chidi and Njokuani for a little bit. This is a guy that the tape can trick you on this one. There's fights at times where the tape can trick you, and I think people can fall into that trap. And I know I fell into that trap before. Because you go and watch Chidi and Njokuani a couple years ago outside the UFC, and he's looking like a bum. He's looking like a big bum. He's quitting in fights. He's getting taken down. He's getting destroyed on the mat. He's looking horrible. But I don't think that Chidi and Njokuani exist anymore. This looks like a completely different guy. Ever since the Contender Series fight against Mario Souza, I mean, this guy has just been impressing, and I don't think that same Chidi and Njokuani exists at this moment. I think this is the best version of Chidi and Njokuani we've seen yet thus far in his career. He has made so many improvements from just a couple of years ago, where he's going out there and he's looking like a bum at times. He's quitting in those fights. That Chidi doesn't exist to me anymore. This guy has looked phenomenal, knocking out Dusko Todorovic in the first round, knocking out Marc-Andre Barriault in the first round. Nobody knocks out Marc-Andre Barriault, and he did it in 16 seconds. This guy's power is off the charts. Going out there and finishing Mario Souza on the Contender Series, which was a good win there. He has a ton of power. He's very physically strong. He has some grappling as well. Very well-rounded. Chidi Njokuani is a very, very good fighter. Gregory Rodriguez is a guy that he as well is such a good fighter. He has a ton of power. He has a ton of volume. He has great striking. He went out there and knocked out Julian Marquez in the first round. Knocked him down 3 times. Marquez is a guy that you don't knock out, and he did it. And then he knocked him down 3 times in the as well. Went out there and knocked out Jung Young Park, who doesn't get knocked out. So I mean, yeah, Rodriguez, this guy has a ton of power in his own right. That's why I think somebody's getting slept here, and probably early on. Rodriguez is a phenomenal grappler, legit BJJ black belt, but if people are thinking that Rodriguez is going to grapple in this match, I mean, if people are banking on that, I think they're going to have a very bad time, because I go back to the Petrosian fight, and in that first round, Rodriguez attempted 0 takedowns. 0 takedowns. And I remember picking Rodriguez in that fight because Armen Petrosian, he has the worst takedown defense you'll ever see in the UFC. He can be taken down by a gust of wind, and Rodriguez refused to take down Armen Petrosian. So if you think that Rodriguez is going to come out here and take down Chidi and Njokuani, I don't know, because he didn't do it against Armen Petrosian where it was so clear. So yes, Njokuani has looked like crap from bottom a couple years ago, but like I said, I think that's an old version of Njokuani. We're getting the best version at this moment, and I can't even trust Rodriguez to go out there and grapple. So I think these guys are going to strike, and if they do strike, I kind of like Njokuani here. I think he's the more powerful guy. Both guys have a ton of power, but the power of Chidi is different. And on top of that, we saw Rodriguez get knocked out. Who was it against? Was it Jordan Williams? I think it was Jordan Williams. Yes, he got knocked out by Jordan Williams. Everybody gets caught, now and then, but that's not the best look in the world, getting knocked out in the first round by Jordan Williams, who, has been, I believe, cut since then. So, yeah, I mean, you can't be confident really in either side here, but I'm going to take Chidi to win. I'm going to say Chidi knocks out Rodriguez. I'm going to say he does it in the very first round. So, Chidi, first round knockout. Okay. Main event time, we have Cory Sanhagen going against Song Yadong. We have Sandhagen, who is 30 years old, 5'11", with a 70-inch reach, 14-4, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Song Yadong, 24 years old, 5'8", with a 67-inch reach, 19-6-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Sandhagen opened up -160, currently -181. Song Yadong opened up +140, currently +156. I do want to get into some numbers here on this fight, as I do think they are important here. So we'll start with the striking stats. Sandhagen does land 6.42 significant strikes per minute with a 44% accuracy, absorbing 4.5 significant strikes per minute with a positive 1.92 significant strike differential and a 55% striking defense. As far as Song Yadong, very high output in his own right, landing 4.92 significant strikes per minute with a 42% accuracy, absorbing 3.78 significant strikes per minute with a positive 1.4 significant strike differential, and a 59% striking defense. Both guys have very solid numbers. I'll say the volume goes to Cory Sanhagen, but the power goes to Song Yadong, and Song Yadong has absolutely shown off that power in his last couple fights. He went out there and knocked out a very chinny Marlon Moraes, but a good win nonetheless, and he knocked out a very tough and durable Julio Arce as well. So, knocked out Alejandro Perez back in 2019. He knocked out someone else back in the day as well. But yeah, he has a ton of power. So if there's a knock-in this fight, I do think it's probably Song Yadong knocking out Sanhagen, but I think that's going to be easier said than done. Cory Sanhagen, he's very tough. He can eat a shot. He's ate a ton of shots and never been knocked out. Cory Sanhagen, 18 professional fights. He has never been knocked out. I think he's been knocked down once. He got knocked down by Petr Yan, but outside of that, he's never been knocked down. So Petr Yan was the only person to knock him down in their last fight. And like Sanhagen, he's extremely impressive. I think people are kind of down on him because you take a look at 2 losses in a row. But I mean, look at who he fought. He fought Petr Yan. He outlanded him 169 to 149. It was a clear Yan win, but it was competitive. It was very competitive. And then against TJ Dillashaw, a fight that I thought he won the fight. He outlanded Dillashaw 128 to 110. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear. Sanhagen, close fight, but I thought he won the fight. And yeah, so in those 2 losses, I mean, I don't think his stock should go down at all. Prior to that, knocked out Edgar, knocked out Moraes as well. Lost to Aljamain Sterling. Man, those are his losses. Yan, Sterling, and Dillashaw. Whereas Song Yadong, he's fighting some good guys as well. He's losing to some good guys. He lost to Cody Stamann. What was a draw? He got a draw against Cody Stamann. He lost against Kyler Phillips, and then he beat Marlon Vera. But I did think that one could have went the other way. So, yeah, I mean, I think people are, I don't know, I've seen a lot of love for the Song Yadong side. I just don't really see it, honestly. Outside of Song Yadong landing a big shot, I think this should be Sanhagen. Just with the volume, I think Sanhagen's the better striker overall. Sanhagen's been in a couple 5-round fights to this point, whereas this is going to be the first 5-round fight of Song Yadong. This will be a step up in competition for Song Yadong. Song Yadong's going from guys like Marlon Moraes, Julio Arce, Casey Kenny to Cory Sanhagen, who, like I said, he's been fighting Petr Yan, TJ Dillashaw, Aljamain Sterling. So, yeah, I think it's Sanhagen here. So I know Song's a popular dog. I don't really understand why, to be honest. But could he knock out Sanhagen? Maybe. But I just don't think it's that likely. So yeah, I like Sanhagen here a decent amount, actually. And I like him, throughout the 5 rounds. I like him to win by decision. Both guys are very tough. Both guys combined a ton of fights. It's like 25, 26, like almost 40 fights, something crazy like that. They've only been knocked out once. So I think this fight does go the distance, and I do lean with the output of Sanhagen. I think Sanhagen's going to outland Song Yadong in every single round. So give me Sanhagen to win. Give me Sanhagen to win by decision. Yeah, but I do think Song Yadong will be back. I mean, he's only 24 years old. Both guys are very young, but Song Yadong only 24 years old. I think his age is insane to me. Where he's at in his career at this age is nuts, but just a big step up. And I think Sanhagen's a better striker overall with more volume. So give me Sanhagen to win. Sanhagen to win by decision. All right, guys, that is about it. Went through all 14 fights. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Lots of content coming throughout the week. Like I said, I'm planning on getting out some content earlier in the week this week because I have some things going on this weekend. So yeah, best of luck for UFC Vegas 60. I think this is a great card from a fan standpoint and a betting standpoint as well. I have a ton of bets already looking to make some money on this card. And yeah, best of luck, guys. We'll talk to you very soon. See ya.